So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. I'm down in the old beer cellar studio and really glad. Got some insulation down here in these very, very thick stone ceilings, the vaulted ceilings. We are quite literally underground and it's super cool, which is going to be really, really helpful today because it's been a bit of a mad day and we are a little bit cooked. It's been a bit of running around chasing all sorts of things. So hopefully all the tech is in, all the kit is in. I'm going to hopefully make sure all the kit works out. The glasses are on, the Oakleys are in place, and we're all ready to go. We've got a great course lined up for you with R.G.V. We had an awesome ride on Tuesday where we were out and we had a great gang go back, pick up the riders who have been distanced, bring them back in with the pack. Remember, the aim is to work out to get quicker and quicker and quicker until that magical go, go, go. At which point, it's all going to split apart, I'm sure, because this is a fast run down. Now, I'm going to apologise in advance because I can guarantee today I will not get everybody across the line, and certainly not in the right order. Because of the nature of the way the course is, there are going to be some twists, some loops and some turns that bring you back round and into the finish. And that means that when we go moving across from one to another, instead of it going back round the course for me, it'll actually just zip across the course, which makes things a little bit tricky when we're trying to go back to the next group physically on the road. So fingers crossed we can get the takes. One of the reasons we haven't used this is only the fourth time we've used this. Pretty much since we've been broadcasting, so it shows you just how tough this is. Now, Russ, just making sure our beacon Ruth is happy. Ruth, one of our regular riders right the way through the winter, and in the women's only chain gang. So the women's Wednesdays, Ruth a regular on there as well, and a very competent rider as well. So great to see Ruth here. Looks like Miss Cookie is in as well, as I would imagine. After what has been a busy day for Miss Cookie, we'll see how she's riding, whether she's going to be joining Ruth. I think the two have actually raced together, so we'll see whether the chat is there. And lots of support, I'm sure, from all of the riders on the chat gang. Let's go across to our yellow beacon, because the man who is charged with heading up the front of the ride and making sure the pace goes where it should is the one and only Russ Downing. And Russ, hopefully, not quite in his pain cave, but getting close.
Yeah, getting there, mate. You know, it's been a busy week, but yeah, hopefully another couple of weeks we'll be in. But we'll see. If I'm not asleep by then.
It's hard work, isn't it? And you can see why everybody is making sure that they go out and see the guys who make them. But yours is a little bit more tricky than just dropping in something that's been built off-site, isn't it? Because it's squeezed into what is a pretty tight space.
It's not that tight. We're actually making it, so yeah, we're just fully fabricating it, you know, and building it into the garden, redoing it. So it's not a pain cave; it's now become a full-on area that we're doing. So yeah, it's all good fun. We've fully got the outdoor seating area done now. So tomorrow we're on with leveling the floor, you know. You only realise when you build new stuff how wonky and wobbly the old stuff was. So we're looking at things like that don't look square, but you know the levels are like 10-inch out in places. So it's just like right, back to scratch. Let's get this built right. But yeah, you know it's been warm, so it's been smashing the hydros while we've been outside in the sun, and then I come in, I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
Well. Got to keep fueled up, and the OTE does definitely come in, and of course members of the DCG gang getting that for a great rate as well. So if you're a member of the supporters club, big discount on the way through as well. Now the chat's getting nice and busy, which is great to see. We're going to head to R.G.V, and would you believe, Russ, this is only the fourth time we've used R.G.V since we've been broadcasting.
Oh, I thought we'd used it a few more times than that. I mean, it's a good little route. I enjoy it around here.
You enjoy it around here. I enjoy it around here. I love riding it. But the finish is a killer from a broadcast point of view because we get jumps across backwards and forwards. And I think this is why every time when you suggested it, I go, no. So could be fun at the finish tonight. Hopefully we can follow all the right groups in. I'm hoping with it being lesser numbers, it'll be good. But, of course, this is all good practice for France, isn't it?
Yeah, R.G.V is the one with the little twisties at the end, isn't it?
It is, down the gorge, and then they've got that little loop where you pass very close to the finish and then loop off round to the road junction to come back in again. So you're actually closer to the finishing line when you're on the loop in rather than on the way round. So
Yeah, so yeah, it's a bit like a roller coaster, seasick at the end, trying to hold the watts and do everything. But yeah, it's good fun.
definitely, and we've got some newbies on, so I think you are going to need to be doing a little bit of briefing. A man who should never be called a newbie, but he is on the chain gang, is Andy Ross. Ross. Andy is actually a legend in his own lifetime because he's part of the team at Bradford that puts on all of the events, including Bingley Music Live, as well as all of the bike events in Bradford as well. He's an absolutely keen rider, and I was really pleased to see him pop up on here. So I think there's going to be one or two newbies in there to get need a few instructions. So we'll let you get off and briefing. I'm going to go run through the map before I start getting really hungry and start salivating at all the cake talk.
Yeah, the numbers are ticking up. We're at 50, 52. So yeah, it's not bad. That it should be nice and controllable, which is good after a busy week.
We'll soon find out. I'll let you dive into the chat and start briefing the troops, and I'm sure we'll be speaking later on during the ride dress. So great to hear from Russ, and sounds like Russ straight on in to the cake chat already. And if we just drop in, you can just see that message board down the right there. Russ straight on there with cakes. Oh yes, so already in and on. 1 minute and 42, 1 minute 40 seconds to go. So let's show you where we are going to be heading as our riders start lining up. We are heading to France. We're going to R.G.V, Route Grand Vitesse, or very fast road. So the very fast road route, it is dead simple. Honest Gov, straight in, 0.9k leading, 224k laps. That means 48.9k total on the way round. That means in theory we are going to be coming in inside of the 50k into the Marina Sprint. Now it's dead flat for the first 14k, so out from the red beacon through the red neutralised zone out towards the island, come back along the coastline. Now, as you can see, our blue dot travelling along, then inland it starts to climb, go through where the Pavé Sprint is, onto the Aqueduct climb. This is the only climb we have. Short climb, but it is tricky. Then through to the Ballon Sprint, and then round in towards the gorge, the roller coaster section. 214 metres of elevation, going to be very, very techy indeed, because most of that elevation is in that bridge. It's all about staying in the wheels come hell or high water today. Now, Ruth Taylor is driving the bus, which is the picture on Facebook. Yet another fantastic new picture on Facebook. Anybody who's got a thing for buses, you do need to join the Facebook group for the Donny Chaingang. There's more pictures of buses than I've ever seen before in my life, or ever probably need to see again. Ruth driving the bus, and it's full of cake as well as refreshments today. Now we are going to show you just how flat this is. This is the same scale as all the others. We've worked with Ben, and I was watching Ben from Velo Viewer out and riding, and it was really good to see that Ben was riding really, really strongly in the time trial last night. Now Ben is the man behind Velo Viewer, and we use the same scale. We've talked with him carefully about how we set this out, and this is exactly the same scale as normal. Normally this has got loads and loads of ascent, loads and loads of reds and yellows. Today, 2 lots of 107 metres, 214 metres total, and the riders will be out onto the course proper very shortly. So big thank you to Ben at Velo Viewer, and of course Swift Hacks and Swift Insider for all of the detailed information. So our riders out on the course, and it looks to me like pretty much all just starting to get together. Not everybody kicking off at the same pace. And as our helicopter shot shows down there, and you can see over there on your screen, the red actually for the yellow beacon, and the group all starting to come together. There are 1 or 2 people up the road, and that's going to take a little bit of control from Russ to pull that back in. So let's dive on down into the event here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel, the Donny Chaingang, with me, Matt Payne. So dropping on in, you can just see at the moment a couple of the riders, the bunch, the blob not yet forming as the riders move down the straight. Just busy with the Grand Tour coffee at the moment, double double day blend for me again. The yellow beacon blend is great in the morning, but by this time of night I need something with a bit more oomph. Down. This is the run in towards the finish, and our riders will be moving along here a lot quicker on the end of lap 1. You can just see the gantry coming up for some of the riders, a bit spread out at the moment. I'm sure the rest is going to be on the chat very shortly to get everybody back together again. So the gang just starting to reform. The aim, of course, to stay around yellow as much as possible. You can just see Russ moving his way up and making his way towards the centre of the group here, and I think there's going to need to be a little bit of control from Russ here to pull this group back together again, because it is a little bit mad all the way out and around the course. You just see people pulling on the brakes to just grab it back. So as the group forms, remember the way the chain gang works. We head out, we aim to ride and pick the pace up steadily, one by one by one. We'll just start pulling up the pace. Once we then get to a point where Russ wants to let the ride full on go, then Russ will type that on the screen. It will come up for all of our riders, and when that happens, then there are no speed limits on the ride whatsoever. It's all about nailing it. Now, the start of this is a tricky start to keep everybody together, because it's flat and it's all about keeping the numbers down, keep the group together until everybody comes back. Remember, with 52 riders, we can see the front, the back and the middle. We know just who is up the road and who is hanging around at the back, and see plenty of people at the moment with next to no power outputs, just waiting for that group to come back together again. So it looks like the group are riding well. Our helicopter just tracking them as they head away from the marina, and they've got a short section of forest to go through before we cross over to the island that you can just see appearing out of the mist at the moment. So just like a proper Tour de France broadcast, we'll be waiting till we get live pictures from actually down on the roadside. It's not going to be long before that happens. Our helicopter's just waiting to pick up the feed from down on the course, and we'll just let the group form properly together, and then we'll be back in there. In the meantime, quick heads up for our riders. Don't forget, guys, we are coming in towards Tour de France now. Last year, the Tour, we had a really busy time, and we had a cracking setup. So remember, we are going to be heading down, doing something very similar. If you remember back to what we did for the Tour last year, I think something similar, but even better still. Some news on that coming up for the DCG gang members at the weekend, and then we'll let everybody else know after the weekend. Looking forward to 3 great weeks. We've got our fingers crossed it will all work out and go to plan. Like all good things on the Tour, there's always a few things change and a few things change about. But as the group comes back together, looks like we can dive down on to the side of the road here in France and watch the pack head on through. And it looks like the group pretty much all together. Just a few interesting moments for Neil from the crosscast making his way on. Looks like the riders, a lot of riders choosing disc wheels. Let's pull the head-up display here, just riding in with the legend that is Andy Ross here. Andy just ticking along at 1.8 watts per kilo, nicely in the group. And looks to me like pretty much everybody close together. Mr. Mason just ticking along in the front, Martin Bob in there. Just seeing Andy Ross's heart rate up at about 183, mate. Don't go too hard too soon. Just pushing on in. It's all about hanging on in those wheels. Now Neil from the crosscast back in with the pack, and watching Neil in this group. Neil into the pack quite nicely tucked in. It's all about surfing those wheels, Neil, in the black there. So let's take a hunt through some more of our regulars. Young Mr. Lindley is here. So Tom Lindley, new to clips and toe clips and straps. Not is now a man who has full clipless pedals. Just keeping an eye on the riders behind. Mr. Ambrose is in here, just dropping down. See Alan Parsons out of the time trial last night up on the middle of the Peak District. Looks like Taylor in here. We have 2 R10s. We've got Ruth, who is our red beacon here. and looks like Coleman are just off the back of the group here. So Coleman just distanced a little bit, and just looking at those numbers, they are late joiners, so they should be coming pretty quick. Ruth, if you're watching live, then get ready for them to head your way. Jim Flynn having to push out some serious watts, 3.6 watts per kilo for Jim. So this is Jim chasing on at the back of this group, 380 watts here, 104 revs per minute. So Jim having to put a decent sized workout here on excuse me, on his way in. Looks like Coleman just rolled past Ruth there, our red beacon. So I think Flynn coming at some pace here. So 41 kph for Flynn, at 36 for Ruth. That means that she's going to soon see Jim heading in towards her. The two riders can then work together. Could do with one or two of our riders just dropping off the back to give them a hand. It is a little strung out. I think Russ is taking the lead here. Greg Pillsworth just rolling at the back as well. So looks like Greg, Tim Cooper, looks like Craig Herring just dropping back to help the riders at the back here. And it's good to see our regulars. This is what you'll see, the stronger riders. Our regular riders are working the way back. So Flynn just getting on here and trying to get back together now. Pillsworth's going to kick and go through and pick up Flynn. You can just see 8.1 watts per kilo. So he's just going to keep on pushing on. So this is where Pillsworth comes and jumps in. This group will all start coming together, and I think Greg just leaving it a little late with that kick there. So the group coming together. Now the pace can pick up. Shelley Charles just at the back there. Looks like Mr. Ridley has got his flat cap out for the day. So Flynn pretty much on the group, but as you can see, the back of this pack is well strung out. The keen beans on the front are pushing on still. So splits in the group at the front. The front group clearly pushing on, not paying much attention to where the yellow beacon is, which means that Russ could be on a man on a mission very shortly. So you can just see the front of the pack at the moment. They are knocking off the pace a little bit. The numbers in the front are down and around about the 1.5, but because they've got strength in depth, because they've got a bulk of riders up the front, it really is making life difficult for the group behind. Even though the numbers aren't that high on the very front, it is making life difficult, and it is just to do with the numbers on the front. You've only need 3 or 4 riders out the back, 30 odd riders on the front. You've 10 times the numbers a little bit further round. As we go on to the bridge, just up with our helicopter, we're going to keep an eye on Alan here. So Alan jumping on with Paul Whitelaw on the back of the group. Let's go over and across the bridge. So Russ moving to the front to take command of the pace by the look of it, to keep things under control at the front. The group just about together. Russ, a man who does know how to use the number 6 key. If you've not used them before, there are a multitude of views you can use. If we jump in, let's jump in with Russ at the moment, and let's grab a view from Russ's point of view. So if Russ is to use his standard keys, he's taking a look like this. We can move it up to number 1. So number 1 gives you a close-up view looking down on Russ's avatar with the yellow beacon over the top. 2, it's very similar but even closer still. 3 gets you a Russ's Oakley's eye view, so this is looking out from Russ's shades. If you use number 4, you get a direct side view. If you use. Number 5, we're down on the ground. Number 6 is the one that most people don't use and should do. And this is looking back, so you can see Russ's avatar, and we are riding as if we were Russ. You can see exactly how close the riders are behind, just what's happening with the group. Now, most of the ride, Russ spent with number 6 on to just see who's on the back and who's drifted off. Number 7 is our classic camera panning view as it goes around. You'll see it focuses on Russ's avatar as it goes through, and then lets it stretch back out again. And this is our typical camera shots as we'd use for broadcast. If we go up onto number 8, so going up onto number 8, then that takes us up, and that gives us a view with the helicopter. And then we have number 9. Now this is the overhead shot that you would find if we were going over the top of a on a cable cam on a finish, so you can see the riders directly around. Very handy in a sprint. This is one of the key ones to use if you're sprinting. You know where you are. You've got a second screen on the roll. See Miss Cookie there in the blue, just roll onto the back wheel of a Russ. So if we take a little bit of a run around, we'll drop back down to our tracking view, get a good idea of just who's in the bunch and where. Looks like Russ and Ruth, the 2 R's, the 2 beacons, the red beacon and the yellow beacon, rolling nicely at the back of the pack as we roll along with the Von Top in the distance. The group riding well, and as you can see from the helicopter, just starting to turn inland a little bit. The right hand turn here pulls us inland. If we take the map out, we've got a little bit of a cut across until we pull away finally and in towards the main gorge here. Russ ticking along, 82 beats per minute. Now other riders that we've been seen out and about, I'm just having a hunt here for the one and only Sonia Inslee in race action yesterday. Sonia out on the time trial bike. So Sonia just diving in with us, got 0.3k on the clock. And issues tonight with the chain, no issues last night for Sonia, who was in action on the time trial and managed to catch a couple of glimpses of Sonia diving up, and of course stood at the side of the road, couldn't help but shout go 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 at Sonia, who put in a great ride in the time trial run by the Common Lane Occasionals. So it looks like Slugs is back in the pack, real regulars in here. Rich Orrell. Rob Wimble is a rider who is definitely one of our regulars. He's almost always in the group. And sat nicely in that bunch. Daryl Tashawala, Daryl TW in here. Daryl, who's spotting one of the best suntan lines I've seen for a long time. Just looks like one rider at the back. It looks like it's Jimmy Allen. Jimmy Allen has definitely got the pace to get himself back in again. So Jimmy just squeezing on the pedals to get back in so the red beacon doesn't hang around too long. Looks like Mr. Crease is not too far away from our beacon. Let's dive in with Matt Crease in here and tucked nice and low on that bike as we go across the river. Now this is where we go over the river, then we run alongside. If we get our drone up and run, this is key 0 if you have got one of those. If you fancy playing about whilst you're riding, it's a bit of a tricky thing to do. Then you can just see we are focusing in on Mr. Crease here and just making his way up back into the pack, and just behind him I think we can just see Richardson and Gibbons. Now Alan as Taylor pushes on to the back of the pack here, and Ruth, to say she said she wasn't sure what she was going to be doing tonight. Do you know what? She's doing a cracking job. We've already seen a number of people off the back getting helped back in by Ruth, doing a fantastic job. Good to see Mr. Cooper's back down after his epic around Scotland. So good to have Tim back in with us. more used to driving a motorhome than he is riding a bike at the moment, but looks like he's got those pedals down. 122 beats per minute, 150 watts as he pushes on up the climb there. So I think Ken Kerrigan is back with us once again. Good to see Ken is with us, and Ken looking pretty smooth on the bike, just quickly kicking it onto the back wheels of that pack as they move up the straight here. Russell Olsman in the pack in the black on the Tron bike, looking good. Nice and smooth, 76 revs per minute, just ticking over at the moment. Let's have a quick check. Mr. Langmead in here. Langmead's going well. Just no heart rate on there. It's like Ted in here. Ted, who is very indignant that I didn't call him as our sprint winner in the sprint he had with Andy Scollin. Good to see Ted in here. Can't guarantee I'm going to call it right tonight, Ted. In fact, to be honest, everybody's got less chance of me calling it right tonight, because it is a very tricky finish once you are trying to track from group to group. The only way to get guaranteed to be called in the sprint, I think, tonight is being right at the front. Ted has got the legs for that. Unable to go join Ted, invited by Ted to go mountain biking with him, and I've had to turn him down tomorrow. Sadly, was really looking forward to that, but far too much on this week to be able to do that. So lots of events just starting to come together. Ted's only doing one lap tonight, just in preparation for tomorrow. That's sad. Now Dr. D is with us. Dr. D, a man who is hopefully a little bit more recovered than he was before. So Dr. D was feeling his second jab. My son just getting his first jab this time round. Getting it this morning, so currently trying not to punch him in the arm too much. Honest gov. Didn't make him climb a ladder immediately after, up on the roof with no safety harness. Well, I wouldn't do a thing like that. So Ted resting ready for tomorrow. Dr. D clearly doesn't need any rest. 124 beats per minute. The rider's just starting to head inland a little bit now. The camera's seen as they head up and through the trees, not long before we're going to head in towards the sunflower fields. No sooner said than done. The sunflowers in the background, that sort of classic Tour de France view. So just seeing the splits just starting to open a little bit in this group. Maybe a few people not quite paying the attention they should be. Looks like Alan Parsons just getting caught out a little bit here. Gibbons is with him. Looks like Ruth Taylor there. They're waiting for Jim. So it looks like Jim Flynn's got dropouts jumping in and out as it goes. How's the saying? Hardwire it, hardwire it, hardwire it. Every single time, guys. Only way you can do it. If you're still getting dropouts with hardwire, you need to see your provider or check your hardware settings. And just seeing Dan Coleman back in with us. Again, Dan just jumping in and out of the coverage as well. Let's go through the sprint with Ruth here. Not being used as a full-on sprint this time round. So the riders are heading in to town here with the Vaughan top in the background. That full-on classic sprint through town. You see the group fraction here. One or two people squeezing on the pedals early. So our beacons both through the sprint here. The squirrel looks down on the riders here in France. New road closures all in place in town for the Tour coming through, for the Zwift coming through, and the Donny Chaingang in full flight at the moment. Looks like a few people squeezing on the front whilst we've still got riders off the back. Expect we're going to get a little bit of a regroup. So Neil heading up to Yorkshire for the Junior Tour of Yorkshire. which I'm pretty sure means that one of our junior riders on the Donny Chaingang, that is Lotta Mansfield, Lotta who's ridden a lot of the Chaingangs, will no doubt be in action. Bit of a change from riding around the mountain bike course last weekend. So our red beacon with Miss Cookie here. The two riders, looks like Jimmy Allen is at the back of the pack at the moment. So Taylor and Cookie at the moment pushing it to 2.5 watts per kilo. So it's time trial and road stages. I think there's 4 stages over what is going to be 2 days, which is going to be quite entertaining for the riders. Just keeping an eye. Looks like Stevens nicely in the back here. Waller's in this group. John Garfer is in here as well. Shelley Charles, Rich Orrell. Looks like Keith Richardson. Kooslugs is in here. Scotland in this pack as well. Gibbons riding well. Matt Crease in here. Mason's in the pack. Looks like Carl Johnson back with us and sat in here. Let's have a quick check. Steve Hilbert in the green. And regular rider from Pines, looks like Dick Samuel is in, and the fat cyclist, that's Gareth Mason in this pack. So Sonia Inslee clearly feeling that the race didn't destroy her legs the last time out, and on the hills around the Peak District yesterday. Sitting there in the black, Dick Samuel in the group, Tom Lindley just rolling in with them. Finn Donohue's in here. Adi Dench's joined us, because have Adi with us. That'll be the bikes and beers jersey. I'm just keeping a check as we work our way down through the group, and it looks like Mr. Flynn just starting to be distanced as they hit the hills here. So we've got Taylor, Cookie and Flynn, and Taylor just trying to pull Cookie back into that pack, pushing on as they go up this climb a little. I think Flynn could well pull them back if he gives it a bit of a squeeze now. Let's dive down with Jim. Jim at 2.9 watts per kilo at the moment. A gap about 4 seconds from Cookie to Taylor and Co. So they're just coming past the side of Rob Wimble, who I suspect has got a drop out at this stage. Flynn working his way back. He's about 20 metres or so off the back. Here we go, just squeezing on to get in with the beacon here. The main group pretty much all together as they work their way down alongside the aqueduct here. So here we go, the group heading underneath the banner for the Aqueduct KOM. That's the biggest climb on this circuit. We said it was a pretty flat circuit. It certainly is. The long gradual climb up before the riders drop back down through the gorge after the Ballon sprint. So watching the red beacon now going across the top of the bridge, second of the triple story aqueduct, heading around across, taking the right hand turn, and looks like this is now a nice group of 3 riders, just about make out 3 sets of wheels as they head along. So we've got Cookie, Taylor and Flynn all together, nice group of 3 riders, so they can work well together. It's like doing a team time trial now. Once the main group starts to distance you, then that's the time to pick up a group and work together. Now quickly up the road have gone the yellow beacon group, and you can just see the pace is on at the front here. It is a little bit rapid. Let's get some numbers up on the screen here. It's going to be a bit of a kick. It's like bad internet for Jim, so he's going to try and hold with the riders as long as he can. Just riding in with Waller here. Ted's in here as well. But Ted said he was only going to do 1 lap. He's got a little bit further to go. It's 24k a lap. Neil from the Crosscast tucked in the group here, but it's just starting to come back together again. I think Mr. Bolt feeling a bit frisky tonight after being distanced on Tuesday and having to be dragged back a couple of times, just trying to sit in there. So it may well be Eddie Dench's birthday. If it is, happy birthday, Eddie. Good to have you with us. Good to see you got your priorities right on your birthday. Never mind going off to the pub. Heading on out with the riders on the chain gang. What bucket do you want? So our riders at the moment heading out around R.G.V. Now R.G.V. is one of those courses that starts off flat like the two key courses do. Here both Caspats and the R.G.V. they start off with that 14k flat and then it gets hilly. In the distance you can see the ridge line running all the way up onto the top of the Von Top. And I'm saying that for a reason, because about 3/4 of the way up is La Reine, which is the climb that finishes part way up. Now it finishes just as you come out of the tree line and just start to get onto the barren slopes. Gives you an indication you look across on that hillside. Remember that? Might be a reason you told you that. So remember, this is the R.G.V. This is the clockwise course heading in here. We've got, of course, the Von Top in the distance. That fantastic climb used regularly in the tour. As Russ just dropping back a little bit. So the group are reconsolidating, just Russ and Jimmy Allen just pushing on at the back there. You can just see the yellow just being distanced a little, the pack just holding the pace though. So the main pack I think just holding on at about 2.5 watts per kilo, not pushing her too hard there. So that group working well together at the moment and looking pretty smooth. It's just about coming back in together. I think our red beacon group, the bus has formed. The psychedelic fun bus. Currently 4 riders now. Rob Wimble I suspect will push on and through this group because Rob is normally up with the main group. Drop out for Rob or a bit of a stop to sort the bike. Not got the any messages coming in from Rob Wimble. So Rob using it as a stepping stone to go back up towards the front group. It's going to take a big old push to get into the front, but as you can see our riders looking good here as they come along this straight. The 3 riders working well together, making sure they make the most of this down. Remember, we're not going to take the left hand turn up towards the Petite KOM, which comes out part way up the climb of the Von Top from the start. We're going to be taking the right hand turn. If we drop in some stats here and drop the map in and zoom out, you'll see we're coming to a junction. As you can see, the yellow beacon has already gone, taking that right hand turn. If you turn left, that's where we went on Tuesday, up the Petite KOM. The Petite KOM, a real kicker up to the top, regularly used on the chain gang. It has the better finish for broadcasting, which is one of the reasons, in fairness. And Russ likes the hills. Yes, I did say that. Russ does like the hills. I think we've just seen Craig Herring trying to make his way back up again. I'm going to get a little bit of a time check as everybody comes through the junction. You've got to be a little careful as we go past junctions. That is where we find the fold in the map in the worlds of Zwift, and that's where we'll get a reset here. There we go. Everything reset. So just seeing Wimble at the moment is trying to make his way back up. These are our 3 round the with the red beacon in the centre. Rob Wimble trying to charge up towards the group. He's got 40 seconds to make up. That's going to take some doing. This is the main pack here, so just jumping in with Shelley Charles at the moment. The group riding well pretty quickly together as they come along this straight. Charles just sitting on the back. This is the Ballon Sprint banner as they come in and through. Now just starting to see riders making the way across. We're just going to take a little bit of a time check back. Rusty sat on the back of this group now. Rob Wimble was showing us not being all that far behind. He is closing in on the back of the group, but looks like he's got about 36 seconds to make up to the yellow beacon. We're just going to get a double check on that time. Yeah, just see Craig Herring just off the back of that pack at the moment. And Wimble's at 35 seconds, so Craig's dropping back to help Rob. Rob's on a bit of a charge here to get across. So Rob's about to get some help. Looks like Russ just easing off the pace, just dropping back. We're going to get any more volunteers. I know Greg Pills was always a good volunteer for coming back. Looks like Greg just backing off the pace here to give Rob a hand. So Craig just easing off the pace now. This is where Rob is going to be looking for those riders up in front. Let's get up in the sky above Rob. Rob Wimble had a drop out. He had the drop in the tape. He's been chasing a long time here, trying to keep the pace high, putting in a real effort here. Craig Herring has dropped back here, so we've got Richardson's come back with him. I think just in front is Pillsworth and Mason. Looks like we're going to get a pack giving a bit of support. Looks like Ted coming off the main group is Shelley Charles. Charles at the back. Just you see this group just working back towards them. Looks like Vin Donahue just coming back to go give him a hand now. The key here is to keep a view in your rear view mirror. If you are Greg Pillsworth or Keith or Richardson, they need to be looking behind them. They're looking out for Rob Wimble. He's at 8 seconds. Here he comes. So you're going to see Rob. You can just see that little figure in the distance making its way back towards them. Rob is going to get some help here. We've got Roll of Honour here, definitely, for Gareth Mason, the fast cyclist, who is just up the road. We've got Jimmy Allen dropping back. We've got Craig Herring dropping back. We've got Keith Richardson. We've got Greg Pillsworth. And right on his heels here he comes Rob Wimble getting some assistance now. This is where the pack starts to form. So let's jump in and watch Wimble as he starts picking up riders now. It's 2 riders at the moment. Wimble getting some assistance from Pillsworth. Onto the wheel here of Richardson. Onto the wheels of Mason, onto the wheels of Herring as well. Look at this, Jimmy Allen's here as well. Now this is a big pack. This is how to get a rider back on. You send a team back to go help. You get the rider pretty close, and then you send the team back to help. And this team are now putting, looks like Craig Genther's coming back as well. Genther's going to be helping them back on against Genther. You can see that big kick from Craig Genther now. Andy Ross has gone back to help. Look at this, Ross doing the business here, dropping back to help the riders here on the way back. So first time Ross going back to help out and bring these riders back in again. So great to see Andy doing the business now. News the team player. Whatever the barrier crew said about him. So fantastic stuff just in with Andy as he heads along here. He's going to get some assistance from the riders. So we're going to just drop in with, I think it's going to be Rich Orrell at the moment. So Orrell in with the group, Darryl Tashul-Waller in there, and look at that. The group is almost back together into the main yellow beacon pack. They've got 1 or 2 people just down the road a little bit, just maybe a little oblivious to everything that's going on, maybe just panicking a little that they're going to get dropped. When it all comes back together again, just trying to hold a nice steady pace. Let's have a little look at those numbers. So great riding by the gang. As you can see, the main beacon group pretty much holding together here with Darryl Tashul-Waller just at the back of that pack. Let's get back up in the skies here. Oh, what a ride by Rob Wimble there. Getting back in with the group with the assistance of all of the team there. The whole of the chain gang working really, really hard together to get everybody back in the pack. That's what the chain gang's all about. So this is going to be the dress rehearsal as they the run in, the rehearsal in towards the finish, because this is exactly where things get entertaining. We're just in with birthday boy AD Dench, and this is our riders now on to the roller coaster descent. We're just riding in with AD at the moment. Our camera trying to track AD's wheels as we come in to this descent. Now this is the run down the gorge, always tricky, very, very busy in the bunch here. The rises to the dips, the falls always make things difficult for the riders as they head in and through, just rolling alongside AD here. If we pan out, you can just see the riders at the moment climbing up the side of the gorge here, just having to dodge the edges as they come around the top. They're now going to find it's going to climb and then drop and climb and then drop. So just like you would do in a real gorge, you've got to dodge the edge of the water. You can't go getting your feet wet. At the moment, the riders look like they are pretty much all together here, but we're soon going to see them whipping around as they head off. And now they're going to be onto this downhill section here, quickly picking up the pace. You can see that they are getting a little bit quicker now. This gorge is really difficult to keep the group together. This is where things get really, really tough for the riders at the moment, because they have to try and keep it together, and that is easier said than done. It really is a roller coaster as these riders come around in towards these turns, and you can just see quickly whipping in and out of these turns as they come in and round. It's a very, very quick section of the course here, and then onto another little climbing section. The pace comes off, the riders have to back the effort off on the downhill sections. They have to pick it back up on the uphill sections. You see plenty of riders having to get out of the saddle as they hit this part of the climb, then quickly into another downhill run here, and you can just see the lean on the riders as they come around this turn yet again, whipping around. It's really, really hard once you're in with this group. You can just see the pack stretching out here as it comes back onto another uphill drag. So up the climb they go, and it's only 2-3% each of these little drags, but it's enough to take the riders out of the back. You can just see as they make their way down. The bunch is well strung out, just climbing back up away from the side of the river once again. And then we're going to be around this turn, and then we're going to be dropping back down. And it's these quick rises and falls, this concertina, that makes it very, very difficult. A great place to put some attacks in if you are feeling strong, if you're feeling like you can break away on the run into the finish, because it's not far from the gorge in towards the main finish. We pull up the pack, you can see halfway down the gorge it's now going to start getting really, really tight from these riders. You can see them sweeping around the bends around the side of AD here, and it is starting to string. The gaps just starting to open up. They've got to keep this absolutely nailed here as they run back down in towards the turns, and this is where the pace is picking up. You can see it's getting quicker. You can hear it's starting to get quicker as well, and these riders now really do need to keep it down. It looks like AD just pushing on towards the front, up towards Parsons, along with Genther. Now it goes back uphill again, so if you've got momentum, you roll in, it'll take you up through this group very quickly. Plenty of people around the side of the AD there with the disc wheel, the multicoloured disc wheel. Fastest setup on Zwift is those lightest discs on the flat anyway. Not the lightest way to climb the hills, but definitely the fastest way to ride the flats and the quick turns in and out. Now the riders start to come out and away from the gorge as they start to head out and away. Right hand turn sweeps them around here onto the roads proper, away from the gorge, and then they're going to be heading down now into towards town. They're going to take that sharp right turn. This is actually when we are at our nearest to the finish line. The finish line is quite literally just the other side of those buildings as we look directly across the riders now. So you can see why things get a little bit tricky if the camera jumps us across and the tracking software brings us out with the wrong people. But that group is now strung out. You can see it's a long line of riders. Still pretty much everybody but our three with a red beacon 3 all together here. 5 seconds from front to back on the group, and this is the run down in to the finish. Looks like a few people going for cheeky sprints. So apparently, Eddie, it's not Eddie's birthday. So whoever gave me that information, you're sacked. So a few sprints going in. Eddie's up for his... definitely up for cake. Looks like Neil getting tech dropouts. User error dropout, and that's not good. So Neil from the Crosscast still watching, still keeping an eye on. Mr. Ridley, yes, you're sacked, definitely. Duff information, Mr. Parsons. So looks like there are some well strung out riders here in this group. Let's go up in the sky. We get a better idea of the time checks from them on the way through. So Mr. Herring on the front and Dan Coleman already backing it off sub 2 watts per kilo, and starting to drop down to the sort of 0.8 or so. Looks like Carl Johnson at the moment may well be the rider who has been distanced by that run down through the gorge here. So it looks like Carl at the minute has got Graham Armitt just in front. Graham again, another of our riders distanced by the pace through the gorge. He's got Carl Johnson behind him. Richardson is probably sat just about to come onto the back of the group, but that section has taken a fair few riders out on the way through. So we're going to just take a little bit of a drop through this group. The group just started to reform, as you can see, trying to jump back in. It's always dangerous. We can jump right the way across the group here. So Carl Johnson pushing on here, 2.9 watts per kilo, trying to close in on Armitt, who's currently at 19 seconds off the back of the pack. The main group are up the road though, and still fractured in fact on the front of that pack. So it looks like Richardson, looks like Ted just dropping to give a hand here, and I think Ted said he was going to do one lap and then jump off resting. So just in with Russ at the moment, and the group just starting to come back together again, hopefully here. So Ted out the back of the group, Mr. Richardson just rolling near the back of the pack, and I think Ted, you need to let Keith know if you're jumping off, mate, because Mr. Richardson, I think he's waiting for you, like he's going to drag you back in again. So good to see Paul Whitelaw and Pillsworth in here. And you just see Ted just warning riders he's going to get jump off the bike, and let's see if people can pick their pace back in again. So Keith just picking his pace up here up to 3.5 watts per kilo. He's got to get himself back in. So Keith had dropped back to help riders. He's got 9 if not 10 seconds to the back of the pack here. This is going to be a bit of a mission for Keith here. So it may well be that we're going to need a few riders just dropping back. I think Pillsworth and Whitelaw are not all that far away from Richardson. Richardson putting the pressure on. Look at this. This is a very quick pursuit here as Richardson makes his way back towards the group. So Pillsworth and Whitelaw seen flying. Mr. Richardson come through. They're quickly picking their pace up to 7 watts per kilo. Here we go, so the group now heading pretty much back together. I think that's everyone we're going to get. So it looks like Johnson, Armitt, the gang a little bit further back. So that is our main group reformed. Our riders, Armitt, 3.8 and Johnson are not going to get back on now. Not with the 35 seconds up the road to the back of this pack. So a squeeze up to 3 from Russ now. The pace is going to pick up a little bit. So Armitt here at 2.2 is going to see Mr. Johnson heading his way. Armitt, jump in. Here's Carl. Carl's coming through. This is your chance to get a bit of a ride, because Carl, one of our quick riders, definitely once it's on the flat, once he gets motoring, really can push on. So Armitt now just kicking up here. We're doing exactly the right thing, waiting to become 2 riders. So these 2 riders, if they work together, should be able to hold off our red beacon group behind. Carl really is working well here. You can just see he can motor along the flat, can Carl. He is a real fast unit once he gets it wound up. The group in front are pretty much all together at heading up towards 3 watts per kilo on the front. And just see the pressure is on the chat starts to die down. So it looks like Johnson and Armit just having a fight to stay in the wheels here of Johnson. Similar watts per kilo, but you can see if we run alongside Armit, look at the size of Armit's forearms and biceps here versus the size of Carl's. Carl can motor. It's about power, straight power when you are on the flat. So 200 watts from Carl. Armit having to kick out nearly 200 watts, basically just dropping off as he goes alongside Carl here. The difference is that for Carl, that is less watts per kilo, even though it's going to be pushing out pretty much the same amount of watts. You can see very similar numbers from these two riders when they're together, but riding really well here. So the pack running well. Let's take a quick check back. Let's see where our red beacon is. So it looks like Jim Flynn, Miss Cookie, and our red beacon in the shape of a Ruth Taylor working well together. These 3 riders also on the island. You can see the lighthouse over the top there, and good to see them riding so well together. The group have a target in front in the shape of Armit and Carl Johnson, who's 2:03 in front. And these two look to be taking turn about. This is really good work by these two. And this is what we want to see. Riders dropping back, working together as a pack. So 2 groups behind the main yellow beacon pack. The yellow beacon pack onto the bridge. So a little look. Rosari, he's managed to get it over 100. Let's see if we can quickly grab a word with Russ as the pace is starting to pick up. Russ, are you there, mate?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, it's very good today, isn't it? It's quality stuff.
Yeah, we're tapping along nicely here. It's good.
Yeah.
Just got the heart rate over 100 with the old increase to 3 watts per kilo. So, well, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm struggling today, really. I'm like, nearly just stopped.
Well,
I went too hard on Tuesday, you know. Trying to beat the ice cream man. He had me on the ropes, didn't he? So, honestly, I went to bed that night. My legs were absolutely hanging.
Love it. Love it. I'm not surprised. It was brilliant. I mean, it was attack after attack after attack from everybody on the way through. Now, we've got a good group of 3 with our red beacon at the centre of that, with Flynn and Cookie and Taylor working well together. They're working really nicely. Armit and we've got Carl Johnson working well. Slightly different size riders, but they've really got that pace nailed, and they're actually holding their own against this big group you've got rolling at the moment at 3 watts per kilo. So looks like 3 distinct, well-working groups on the Chaingang. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I say the numbers are thinning down a bit as the numbers are. You know, everyone's staying more in the pack, so if you get dropped, you normally have to wait a bit to find a group. But it's all good, mate, and I'm sure this group's going to get smaller in a minute.
I'm sure it is. Tell them you're busy.
Yeah, that was my mum.
She knows better.
She should know. No, mate, she doesn't. She should, but she doesn't.
Love it. Well, listen, I'm going to let you dive back into the ride. I won't be the person on the phone holding you up, and looking forward to see what happens as we get a bit further in.
Red button it, mate. Red button.
Excellent.
Cheers, pal.
So great catching up with Russ. As you can see, the ride is coming out live to you from Zwift. Russ on the front of that pack. Let's take a little bit of a check in with the group here as we keep an eye on the guys looking pretty good here. This is a nice pack rolling around. Von Top in front, 32k's covered, 50k's the total distance today. So a little bit longer because this route, even though it cuts inside the Caspats route, and in theory you would think would be shorter, it's not because of all the zigzags, all the twists and turns. So the Caspats goes around the perimeter. It is actually shorter than the route that cuts through the inside, and it's just to do with those twists and turns through the gorge and the run through the Ballon Sprint. So Russell with Dan Coleman sitting on his heels here. Dan using a little bit of a draft to just get back in that group. Like Darrell Tattershaw Waller in the pack. This is a really compact group. There's absolutely nothing to split them at the moment. Just seeing everybody trying to sit in with Russ, trying to hold it all together here. Barty's in here, Cannon, Samuel's in here, Andy Ross putting in a great ride here. This is where it starts to get a bit interesting with those 3 watts per kilo. We're stretching people's legs. They're starting to make it a little bit harsh just on that slight drop, and then it's going to kick up again. So here we go, 3% at the moment as we go up onto the drag in towards the river crossings. Who's in danger at the back? Who's going to feel the pressure first? Who's going to be distanced? And the go's gone. Russ has gone early here, so he's already hit this early. He's hit the button, he's pushed the plunger, and we're at 33k, so that leaves us. It's about 17k into the finish, and look at the power-ups going down. Everybody knows that they've got to stay in with this group, and the gaps are opening up here behind Russ. Look at the hammer that's being put in. That it's not just one man with a hammer, it's the whole pack putting the hammer in, and the gaps are opening now. So if we jump up in the air behind Russ here, you can just see the front of this group. It is an arrowhead, but behind there in 1s and 2s, it's fractured to pieces here, and there are riders in trouble all over the place. We're just dropping back through the pack. You can just see Sean Ferron here just fighting to get into the group here on the flat. He's got the gap. I think Langmead is in trouble. Look at this, it's just strung out. Scotland working hard here. Hilbert's behind him, and Garfoot's in here. Tim Cooper clearly paying the price of being set in advance along. Sonia Inslee maybe starting to feel those race legs. Kerrigan is distanced here, so it's Kerrigan. So we've got Carl Johnson and Armit sitting behind, and it's Kerrigan. We've got Bolt just coming onto the back of this pack. This is a group that's forming, so it's going to be Bolt, Garfoot, Cannon, Inslee, Stevens is in here. I think Cooper, Hilbert in here, Scotland and Simon run it. This could well be the group that's going to form together. It's 3 seconds in front of Scotland, so if this pack can come together, they are a workable force. Though there is some numbers in this, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 riders. If they can get it together, these 11 riders, they'll get back on. If we take a look up from running, you can see that gap in front. It's just opening though. He's not getting much assistance, and it's now at 4 seconds. If we jump in with Langmead, he can see behind. It is not coming now. Cooper comes on to go give some assistance with Scotland, and they're pulling them back into the group. Now Langmead takes a little bit of a look back. That's the gap that they've got to close down. That group has to pull this back. We're looking back from Langmead. You can just see in here Greg Pillsworth in the blue. We've got, I think it's going to be Mike Killingsworth in here in that blue shoulders of the Union Jack. Looks like Mason is in here as well. Massoud's and gang are up the road though, and this is our leading pack. So leading pack have 10 seconds on Langmead. So Yellow Beacon group up the road. Looks like it is currently 12 seconds back. This is group number 2. So group 2 is going to be Ridley. It's going to be Mason, Killingsworth, Pillsworth, Waller, Ferron. It's going to be Langmead behind them, 5 seconds down. Simon, I always call him Sean. I really do. I must know somebody called Sean Runnett in a previous life. So Simon Runnett, my apologies, Simon. I owe you so many beers for getting your name wrong. So Simon Runnett, Steve Hilbert, Andy Scott, and Tim Cooper, along with Stevens, are in group number 3. So they are group 3. They can see group 2 in front. They can see where the yellow beacon group is. So beacon group 1. Group 2, currently 5 seconds ahead of these riders. Group 3 is those riders. Group 4 is the Garfer Inslee duo. Group 5 is going to be Martin Bolt and Cannon, so they are in group 5. Then it's going to be Kerrigan, that's 6. Then it's going to be Johnson's group 7 on his own. Armit's going to be group 8 on his own, and 9th group on the road is going to be Taylor, just heading into where all that action kicked off. So we're going to work our way back up towards the front through these groups and get in with the yellow beacon. And you can see this group is splitting under pressure. There's still plenty of people in trouble here. They can't let these gaps go. They cannot afford to let the slightest move be made without being in there. There's going to be some fast times. Look at that. Personal best, personal best, personal best, personal best, personal best records on the way through. Bear in mind that we were here on Tuesday. So these riders are setting these on the way through. These are their 30-day personal best. They're being set today on Thursday. We haven't been up the climbs and it is showing. And look at this, it's doing damage at the back of the group. Gibbons, Coleman, Kinlock being distanced. Rob Wimble can't hold the wheels here, and they are being distanced. This is potentially a group of 4 riders, 2 seconds down on Dr. D. Dr. D's going to see them behind him. If he were to look over his shoulder, they are chasing, but they're not getting back together. You can see them on the map here. So Dubash at the moment now going around Coleman. Coleman is off the back of the group here, and Coleman just easing his legs off. He's at 1.5 watts per kilo. Are we going to see Dan Coleman paying the price of going for that sprint? He's got the fastest sprint time at 21.83, but I think his legs are shot because of it, and he's lost the main group due to the effort of that sprint. So riding in with this leading group now, heading up towards the right hand junction and the aqueduct climb. They've got a fair way to go. We're not even onto that aqueduct climb proper yet. The riders are going to see that any second now as they make their way along this straight, and this is where we're going to see another attack. This is the chance for any climbers to go hard and distance the riders. Dubash now at the back of this pack has to push on. The constant gradient starting to take its toll on Dr. D. He's at 3.5 watts per kilo. He's got to get on those wheels. It's only 3 bike lengths. The gap you can give. Looks like Tom Lindley's in here. Looks like Dubash is going to get to Crease. Crease's legs have gone. That's a proper falling off there. The anchor was thrown out there by Crease. He's been distanced, and we're now riding in with Lindley. Lindley is in with this group. Behind him you can just see Dubash trying to stay with him. Looks like Dick Samul in there. Vin Donahue is letting the wheels go here. Come on, Vin, trying to push on him. You can't let that gap go. You're going to be in trouble. Rich Orrell is with him. Vin Donahue. The gap is opening though, and it looks like it's Donahue who's got the head here. He's being chased here. Ambrose is on his wheels. Ambrose in that multicolour strip on the left hand side. He's got about 9 metres to Lindley behind him. The leading group are fracturing here. Craig Genther is right up here, but you can just see this group, it is all over the place here as they come through, and Russ is on the offensive again. So Russ has gone up the climb hard and has gone again over the top of the climb. He's stretching it out. He doesn't want to let this group come back together too easily. Now, is this going to be a revenge grudge match between Downing and Whitelaw? Downing took it to Whitelaw and pipped him on the line. He came through at the head. He opened up the sprint. Russ led it out. There was every opportunity for Whitelaw to go around him. He couldn't do it. And it was Downing who took it last time round. Now Whitelaw goes over the top. Russ quickly onto his heels, and it's leaving Genther, Dench, Ross and Co to chase. We said Andy Ross was a legend. This man is fast here. So Ross closing in on the heels here. He's going to sit in with the guys 175 beats per minute. It's not as hard as his heart rate was going early on. So Ross putting himself Good acquitting of himself here on the very first chain gang he's been on. And look at this, looks like Andy Ross absolutely nailing it here. So just watching here, Dench is in. The man on the front though, it is Mason, who's gone hard. He's gone from the front. He's got a gap. Who's going to chase him down? Who's he going to be left to? He's being left to Whitelaw again here. They are making Whitelaw work for this. Nobody wants the ice cream man from Ambleside to take the victory. They are all working him over here. And I don't think anyone's chasing too hard here. 80 Dench is not on the silly numbers. There is Darryl Tatchell-Waller. And if they are smart, they are going to let the big guns like Russ, like Whitelaw do the work here to chase down, take it in turns. Remember, with 15 to 1 or 2 riders, you know he's going to go down. Look at that, immediately a counter-attack as soon as they came back together. Jimmy Allen has gone down the road here. Our camera's fighting to keep up with him. So Jimmy Allen is now gone over the top, and Whitelaw again is having to answer this. Whitelaw comes across, they sit on his wheels, he comes across, they sit on his wheels. He's a man here, it's too far to go, he can't take it all the way home, but Jimmy Allen is a danger man to go. Now, Whitelaw's having none of it, he's gone hard and he's opened the gap here. Now the pack behind are not going to let him go, surely. That is a very dangerous move. Whitelaw's gone. Somebody's going to have to react. Now, he's going to take advantage of this because if they don't react, if nobody chases, Whitelaw will push on here. He's at 5.7 watts per kilo. The chasing group is at 3. Now, is this the move that he makes to make it count? He's got a long way to go. We're only just coming into the turn around by the side of the church here. And that means that the rest of the riders are responding here. They're starting to pick up the pace, but they've not closed him down. They're making him work on his own. All these riders in this group are getting a turn on the front, then coming off, turn on the front, coming off. They're getting a rest all the time. Whitelaw is out on his own. He's having to make the pace. He's currently at 6 seconds. So Whitelaw with a 6-second gap here. He's opened the gap, but it is not enough. It's not decisive. So are they going to let him hang, do loads of work all on his own, really start to wear him out and then just close him down at the last minute? Is that going to be the tactic that's going to be used today as they come into towards the gorge? Because they've tried multiple attacks. You can just see Whitelaw's legs really revving out there as he came over the top, just easing back a little bit here. Keeps on putting in a bit of pressure now. The fat cyclist Mason is behind. He's still on 7 seconds. He's having to do all the work. But what point is he starting to recover as the pace comes off? 47 kph here. Now, Mason is the leading chase rider here. Ross is in here as well, doing some great work. Allen is in here. You can just see Booth in here. Eddie Dench is in here. Just keeping an eye. Darryl Tatchell-Waller is in this group. Russ is in here, as we would expect. It looks like Childs is in this group as well. We're just on the fold of the page. You don't dare move too far from this group. So this is the big chasing group. One man up the road. Have they let him go too far? I think it's going to be about 10 seconds. So the aim here is to keep him, I'm watching the message board here, keeping him under 10. Everybody keep him sub 10. He's at 12 seconds now. They have to pick the pace up a little bit. They're faster as a group, but they cannot let that gap open too far. There is a point at which that gap cannot be closed down no matter how big a group or how fast you're going to go. They've got to get the timing right. This really is making these riders think. That's what we love about the chain gang. It's not just about who's got the best legs, as long as it's about thinking, it's about working together. Now, this is the ultimate working together. We're just going to see, can he close it down? Darryl Tatchell-Waller knows what gap he wants to leave. It's 12 seconds that he wants to be there. So he's been killing it at nearly 6 watts per kilo for 5 minutes. That is some going. The question is, it's not pulling him that far away, because as they come into this sprint, it's not opening up the gaps because it's a flat part of the course. Now, if they let him wipe himself out, will he have anything left? If they catch him back at the right time, they will be laughing. But the question is, how far can they make that gap? How close can they get? So Whitelaw at the moment 5 watts per kilo at 400 watts basically. So it's 400 watts at 5 watts per kilo. You'll let you do the maths here. Has he got anything left? They're back at 10 seconds here with Mason now pushing on here, and they're closing the gap down even though they're not as high watts per kilo. That's due to the weight and the pressure. So this is going to be a real interesting fight. Is there going to be a point at which they're going to scrap amongst themselves? They are working really hard here behind. You can just see Craig Herring and Taylor and Varty are all together. Craig, you're not meant to be able to type and ride simultaneously, mate. Focus on pedaling. Behind Donahue, Orrell, Richardson, Lindley, Osman, Massoon, all coming together very, very close. Never mind laughing either, Craig. Get yourself focused, buddy. Now, Russ kicking on here, going up onto the front. Now, Mason has gone off the front of this group. They've not gone with Mason to help close this gap down. They need to work as a team. If they don't work as a team, they're in deepest, darkest doodah. It's really simple. So, Mr. Day is swinging. I'm not surprised, mate. You were in big trouble not all that long ago. In with Mason at the moment, just looking to keep Whitelaw in sight here. The gaps have opened though now. Mason is keeping that pace up, keeping the pressure on. Genther's coming behind him. They're chasing hard. 7 seconds to our leader. Now, the question is, who's got the legs to go over the top on the attack? Whitelaw's been out there sitting at nearly 400 watts for a long time now. Now, while some people could do that, we know that Mason can sit there for all day long pretty much at 400 watts. He's one of our bigger riders. It's hard for the smaller riders to do that. Now, Whitelaw must know they're coming. We know he watches this TV. He's got it set up so he can watch the ride. He's looking to take away a victory today. Remember, he was taken into second place by Russell in that sprint last time around. Now they got it at 6 seconds. They're letting him hang out there now. The pace has come off them. They've got him at 6 to come into the gorge. I think Genther's just gone to the front of the pack. The question is, what time gap will they be prepared to leave him dangling at, doing all of the work on his own? At what point will they close down? Remember, all the time you're on your own and there's a group behind you. That's when you're doing the work. You can see that solo orange figure up there. The rest of the riders are working as a team. Now, at some point somebody's going to go for a solo effort here. Just watching the gang at the back here. It looks like Charles at the back here, Booze at the back here. Russ is rolling in with this pack. Are they going to save it for later? Is anybody prepared to sacrifice themselves at the right moment? Because if they go down too soon, if they close the gap down too soon, they're basically going to absorb Whitelaw in. He's not going to be working hard. He's going to be sitting in there. So they have to be ready to go here. We just sat over the top of the group, 2 seconds up the road. Is Whitelaw is about to get absorbed by this group who has got the kick on them, who's going to go hard. Looks like Russ is coming in at some pace, so Russ is going to go over the top, I suspect. So now they've got to make Paul chase, and this is where Russ has gone. So Russ has gone on the front. Nobody else is going to do the work. Whitelaw's got to answer this. He's got to come quick. This is going to be very interesting indeed, because Whitelaw, let's have a look at that gap. What's Whitelaw got? He's on the heels here, so Russ eases off the pressure. Look at that. Russ just sat up. Russ has just sat up. He's just, I'm not going on the front. I'm not doing the work. Now they're on to him. Who is going to be our next one to go put the oomph in? Who's got the next kick? Let's take a little bit of a look. Will it be? Is it going to be Mason who goes for it? Now Mason has gone. Mason's taking his turn. Who is doing the chasing? Let's hope it's going to be somebody who doesn't chase him down too soon. We're just taking a little bit of a look here. Now Whitelaw is sat in with this group. The group are behind, so Mason has gone. Genther's turned the taps right off. He doesn't want to go on the front too much here, because at the moment they're giving a free ride. So the man that they all moan about beating them, they've been given a free ride to, because they're going on the front. Come on, guys, work as a team. If you don't watch the telly. Now Whitelaw goes again. He's putting a push on to go back across. 80's now kicking. He's trying to keep him in his sight. So Whitelaw's just done another kick onto the wheels. Mason shuts the taps off, jumps on these little wheels. So Mason now just doing nothing here. And Whitelaw's been left out again. So they've left him to dangle on the roller coasters. Now 6 seconds is a little bit too far to go at this stage. They can't let 6 seconds go. They're going to let about 3 or 4, I suspect, here. So you're just watching Craig Genther now, doing the work here. Craig is on the chase. So Genther goes. Genther pushes over the top now, making everybody work. Big kick from Craig Genther up at 10 watts per kilo. Opens the gap up. Craig knows how to ride this. He knows that the gap is 6 meters to stop the draft. So he gets to the 6 meters now. Everybody's in here. Now you can see the message here coming up here from Jimmy Allen. Make the right man chase. Make the people who are going to be in there to chase. Now Russ gone on the front here. Booth moves over the top. Everybody now back together as a pack. It's a ragged pack though. Booth has got the gap. He's just starting to open up. Is he going to be opportunistic and go off the front now? Daryl Tattershaw doesn't want to let that gap go. Everybody is sat in that pack, and you can see the difference between being on the front and the back. Remember, distance, we've still got plenty of gorge left. This is all about getting your timing right. So it looks like Andy Ross has just blowing chucks. Come on, Andy. Dig in time. So Andy and Craig Genther are on the back here. Looks like Andy could get a bit of a jump if he jumps in. Shelley Charles being distanced there. So Charles has gone, Ross has gone, Genther's coming back across. Ross trying to sit on his wheels. Russ is in here. Mason just rolling in at the back of this pack. This is our leading group, currently being led by Russ. So the Bear is on the front at the moment. These riders know that they've got to answer the moves as they come down. Time is ticking down. We're riding in with Russ, and it's being left yet again to Whitelaw to chase down. But Russ hasn't got a big enough gap at the moment. Craig Genther's done. I'm not surprised, mate. Craig doing some massive efforts there. Now Tattershaw Waller not letting anybody go off the front. Remember, this is about attack and recover. Attack and recover. This is what you got to do, guys, if you want to take the win. You can't sit in there and just tow people into the finish, because anyone with a big kick will get in there. If you don't want a sprinter to win, you don't want somebody with some freakishly large power numbers to take the win, you have got to attack and rest. Attack and rest. If you just sit there ticking along at 4 watts per kilo, none of you are going to get this. It's all going to come down to whoever's feeling like they got the kick, but this is going to come down to one of these riders. Russ now puts the pressure on. He knows the score is gone early here. He's at 9 watts per kilo. Is anybody going to answer this behind them? The work is having to be done now. Russ has gone early. He's going to be very shortly. He's going to see. We're going to go up with a drone just simply so that we can try and get you a good view here. Now Mason is going hard. Mason's going over the top here. So Mason is taking them all on here. Mason has a massive kick on him. Mason has gone hard. He's gone early. Has he got the power to keep everybody off? Look at this. Whitelaw is putting out 14 watts per kilo. Was 14 watts per kilo at the end of that as he goes over the top. But it looks like Mason, then Booth and Gang come through. What a ride by these riders. Absolutely astounding stuff. Craig Genther's still got enough to sprint in here. Craig, I have no idea how you've got any legs left, mate. What a ride. Andy Ross just behind him. Craig, I think his legs have just exploded. Andy Ross comes through. Awesome riding by Andy on a really early baptism of fire on the Chaingang. Then it's Shelley Charles. Shelley, what you doing with lightweight wheels on, mate? Get some deep rims on that bike, man. It's a fast course. It's going to make a huge difference. So Shelley comes through. Behind then, we are going to see if we've got anybody sandwiched in between. Really tricky to do. So apologies if you are in a gap and we are missing you on the way through. It is, as we've explained, just at that point where we will jump across if we are not very, very careful. So just riding in with Taylor at the moment. So it's Taylor at the moment just coming in as a group of 3. He's got Craig Herring for company. So Herring is down in here. So it's Herring on the front. Then it's going to be Taylor. Then it's Varty with him. So let's see who's going to take this out of this next group. They're 11 seconds clear of Donahue, Richardson, Osman, Lindley and Co. They take that right-hand turn here now. Varty is in here at the back of the group with the red band across the back, all in black. Then we've got Taylor on the front, who's got a big enough kick on the way through. This is about having the pace, and it looks to me like it's going to be Taylor. Taylor's got the pace on here, but is he going to get out sprinted here? Look at Craig Herring go. Herring is on the front here. Herring is going to sprint his way right through the camera. Look at that. Herring takes it from Taylor from Varty. Awesome riding. Now this is the next group coming in. This is going to be Lindley who's going to get this, or is he? Richardson's coming. Is he going to get it? Oh, it's so close. That's a watch back. Timing being everything, that was very, very tight. Donahue comes through. We're going to jump back across. I think Massoon just getting distanced on that last run into the line there. Absolutely storming stuff. We're going to jump across next. This is our next group heading in for the line here, and I think we're going to see Coleman going for this really early. Coleman's gone early. Can he take out Cooper? Cooper is very quick in the sprint here. This is all about having the pace and timing it right. They've gone over the top here of the other riders, but look at this massive kickback from Cooper, just rolling on the line there. What a bit of timing there by these riders. Rob Wimble comes through. Pillsworth is coming through. Mason Kinlock. Gibbons as well. Dixon Moore comes in. Sean Ferron over the line. Dr. Dean on his way in. Water recovery after getting a jab. His legs fell off halfway around the ride. Absolutely mega riding here by Dr. D. Absolutely mental chain gang. And we've got Hilbert coming in. Great smash up. Everybody leaving it all over the place here today. And I think it's going to be a bit of a jump back. We're just checking to see there's no riders sandwiched in between. Oh my goodness. What a ride into the finish. There's going to be nothing left of half these riders. Now the junction, first to the right turn junction is being taken here by Alan Pass. He's got Langmead and Waller on his heels. This should be another good group. I think whenever we do this, we're going to have to do that kick-off early. If the go goes early, it's long enough to split those groups apart. Means I've got a half a chance of getting back and trying to get everybody after me saying I'm not going to get everyone. So far, think we managed it. Apologies if we haven't. It's so hard to keep a track of everybody when it is so tough. Fantastic, very entertaining ride on the way through here. Now Langmead in here, just keeping an eye on these three riders, watching who's sitting on the back. Ridley now moves on to the front. Waller and Langmead drop to the back. Who's feeling frisky here today? Is it going to be Langmead? Who's going to do this today? Just riding in with them. This is, let's see who's got a sprint left in the legs as they're coming in. And it looks like Langmead's opening it up early here. We're on him at the moment, and Langmead is quickly getting the revs, 105 revs per minute as he comes in towards the finish. Parson comes, but he leaves it too late as he comes through that time. We're going to drop back one group again. So this is our next group. This contains Sonia Inslee in here. Sonia, not sure how you're even riding after yesterday's efforts. And Sonia sat in with this group as they come around these turns. Nice to have like 4 riders in blue altogether. That's going to make my life really easy, isn't it? Cheers, guys. So here we go. I think Scotland's gone really early yet again. It is. So Scotland has gone early here. Now he missed time this last time and he got rolled on the line apparently by Ted. So it's Scotland, Inslee, Garfoot, Stevens. Has he gone too early? He went too early. His legs are going. He's got a kick again. So don't discount Sonia in here. Sonia is an absolute beast of a rider. She's gone hard and they're all going to go get it. And I think Sonia just got that. She came over the line. Great riding. We're not going to go across to Russ today. Russ is absolutely died on his knees. So we are going to let Russ disappear off early, gets an early pass today. We're going to try and keep up with all the riders on course. And I think if my message to be correct, Crease is going to be our next rider. He's going to see Cannon coming in towards him here. So looks like Crease is going to be our next one. Russ is going to get himself off and head away. I think we might just about catch a very quick word with him. Russie, you still with us just about?
Another 30 seconds, mate. I think that's all I've got in me.
I'm not surprised. What a ride at the end there. I mean, we all love a villain, and Paul Whitelaw plays that villain so well, doesn't he? He is the man everybody wants to beat, and eventually everybody's kind of working out they've got to gang up. He's the perfect carrot for people to chase.
It's just attack after attack, and you know, I put the last one in and he just came straight on the top of it. It made me look like an under 16, but all good fun.
It is, and we've got to remember, it is a game that's a game to be played, and we're all doing this to get quicker. And that's what's happening. If we all rode round taking it steady to the final sprint, we wouldn't get quicker and quicker. And it's so great to see so many people prepared to have a dig, have a go, and working together, which is great.
Yeah, I don't know about getting quicker. I think I'm getting slower, mate. Unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what, get some OTE recovery fuel on board. Get your feet up in the air. Not too much digging in that pain cage. And if you're onto stuff like Sparky stuff soon, then at least a lot of the hard graft will be done.
Oh, they're digging tomorrow. Actually, we're putting the front wall in for the retainer. But not as big as what we have been digging. So yeah, we'll be good, mate.
Recovery by Tuesday, and got some fun routes lined up, I know. So looking forward to those, and then on to the tour. So plenty of riders making their way in. We just got Crease coming in through the line, Cannon following in. Looks like Ken Kerrigan's not far behind as well after being distanced early on. So our riders not all that far off the pace. So get yourself some recovery, mate, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Great gang, everyone. Well done.
So a big thanks to Russ. We're just diving in watching Kerrigan come in through the line. Carl Johnson is due to be our next rider into the finish. And Carl continuing to push on here ahead of Armit. Then it's going to be the dynamic duo. Well, actually, it's a trio of riders because it's going to be our Red Beacon group of Flynn, Taylor and Cookie, I think. We're just watching our riders flick across the screens. So Johnson now on his way in towards the finishing line. He's going to no doubt put us a sprint on because Carl always guaranteed to give us a good sprint into the finish here. Carl out of the saddle here, absolutely nailing this on his way into line 7.7, 8.2 as he comes through the line. Great riding by Carl once again. So just looking at those Marina sprint times, a 13.13 from Sonia Inslee. That is a heck of a fast time on there. Whitelaw with an 11.15 sprint. 40 watts per kilo at the end of that. Flipping it, mate. I want whatever you're on. I need more sprinkles on my ice cream if that's what it takes, that's for sure. Now, riders still heading in towards the line. We've got Armit, we've got Taylor, we've got Flynn, and I think Cookie has dropped off the page here. So I know there was a few tech issues for Sarah on the way through, so it's going to be Flynn and Taylor chasing Armit, who's a little bit further down the slopes at the moment. So whilst the riders head in, got to say a massive thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who supports us, particularly the guys that you see down the bottom of the screen. To Halo Wheels was out on those again on the mountain bike, absolutely superb, railing it down at Woody's Bike Park with them on. Got to say a massive thank you, guys. They're brilliant wheels to ride, love them. So make sure, guys, you support the people who support you, support the Chain Gang, and massive giveaways from Halo, and those wheels absolutely ride superb. Myself and Russ both riding on them whenever we get the chance. Brilliant set of wheels. OTE, of course, keeping everybody hydrated. Always down in the studio as well as on the bike. It's actually starting to suffer a little bit because it's used so often. I have to say it's been out of more bottle cases I can't remember, as well as being down here in the studios. We have, of course, a massive thanks to Velo Skin. They keep it smooth, they keep it unchafed. Just don't do what one rider has done and put some recovery, some soothing gel on your legs. Forget that it's there, and then maybe pay a little visit to the little boys' room, and then pull it back up and realise that soothing cream is not where it's meant to go. Don't do it. And it wasn't me, before anybody asks. Riders shall remain nameless. Lots of riders doing all sorts of interesting things. But remember, guys, the stuff makes you go quicker if you're comfy, if you're smooth, if you're fast, if you recover properly, and if you look after those muscles. They are going to be there to give you big kicks. Don't forget, of course, Oakley's 1080 giveaways. Massive thank you to Ian Taylor, who's a regular on the Chain Gang. He regularly helps us out with giveaways. Remember, giving away 4 pairs of Oakley Sutros not all that long ago. 3 to DCG Gang members, 1 to the Women's Wednesday winner as well, to celebrate all those Women's Wednesdays that we did, as well as great t-shirts, caps, giveaways, the lot. Massive thank you to Ben, a fellow viewer, man who can walk the walk and talk the talk. It pedals as quick as it looks. And of course to Grand Tour Coffee. Nearly finished my double espresso. I'm taking it steady at the moment. Big thank you to Gritty. The Pretty Gritty t-shirts being supported by lots of our riders. And of course to Downing Cycling and to Russ. Now we are going to follow our next rider in. And this is going to be Armit on his way in here. Big sprint coming up here, and it looks like Armit crossing the line there, kicking out 5 watts per kilo. So great riding by Armit, coming through to finish, which means our riders out on the road are going to be Flynn and Taylor. So Beacon at the moment is Taylor here, keeping those revs nice and steady. 80 revs per minute, 148 beats per minute, and I know Ruth was working hard. The cakes on the bus will be well depleted. Miss Cookie actually so replete that she's had to climb off the bus. And looks like Flynn's sitting on the wheels here, making sure you can keep the pace held as they come down. Not far to go. They've got the right, the left, and then the right turn on the junction. But these 2 riders looking good on the way in to the finish, and they will be our 2 final finishers here on the Chain Gang. So the Donny Chaingang is brought to you as a co-production between Russ and myself, Matt Payne. We are bringing you all of the action all the way through. Russ riding as our beacon and liaising with Swift, and of course myself with all of the DCG gang members, discounts, and making sure that our riders get all heads up on the route. Make sure you join up to the gang. We have got some great things happening on the Tour de France weeks. We can't tell you exactly what, quite simply because we've got to get all the final T's crossed and the I's dotted. Plus, of course, we want to keep some surprises back for you. But remember, if you're a DCG gang member, you get priority, you get the links, you get the details, you get the routes, and you get all of those discounts first. And a massive thank you to everybody who has joined us. We have got 2 riders to bring across the line, then we are done. So let's jump in with our final riders here on the Donny Chain Gang, live on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel, and we are riding in with our 2 riders here as they come into the finish. We're going to get a sprint from Flynn, and just coming in ahead of our beacons. So well done to Mr. Flynn, well done to Taylor. Both our riders having finished, and Ruth Taylor, our red beacon. A big thank you for somebody who said they didn't know what they were doing. A sterling job from Ruth today. So from me, Matt Payne, from Russ, from our yellow women's beacon, Emma, a massive thank you for watching. Keep riding, have a great weekend. It's going to be scorching out there, so plenty of OTE refuel. Or of course you can always do a beer and head down to Nonna's. A big thank you to them. And before anybody says anything, and let the camera focus in on the fact it is actually 0 alcohol. There you go. So here we go, time to run the credits. Thanks for watching. This has been the Donny Chain Gang with me, Matt Payne, on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel.